Barry Tompkins with Al Bernstein back at Resorts International here at Atlantic City. Now the main event. Bryant Paden and Ras-I Bramble. 10 rounds. They are lightweights. These two, of course, really opposite styles. Bramble has been the champion. Paden very much would like to be.
Ras-I Bramble has seen many things change in the last several years. His status in boxing, his name, and some would say even his demeanor outside the ring. Once a champion, now this 28-year-old fights the likes of Edwin Corrette, hoping for another title try. This win over Corrette was his best since losing the title to Edwin Rosario. He finished Corrette off in the 8th and thought he was on his way to a title opportunity. But Mr. Spoiler, Freddie Pendleton, derailed those plans. Bramble had his moments in a close fight, but the cut over his right eye would be a key factor. Toe-to-toe exchanges took their toll on the eye, and in between the 9th and 10th round, the doctor stopped it. Tonight's foe, Bryant Paden, hopes to use Bramble's name to vault himself to a world ranking. Bryant showed some of his excellent body work in his last outing against Rodney Moore. But this 28-year-old suffered from a lack of consistency in this bout and ended up with a draw. He'll have to do better tonight to beat Bramble.
Al, let's talk about the keys to victory for these two.
Well, for Ras-I Bramble, I mentioned that his left hand was injured in that Pendleton fight. It now is fixed. It's feeling good. So I think the jab is going to be a very important weapon for him. Switch to lefty. I've always thought that Bramble was so effective when he did that, and I think that would give Paden some trouble. Rodney Moore was effective with that against him. For Bryant Paden, he's got to make Bramble come to him. Now, this may seem very odd to people. Why would you want Bramble to come to you? I think Ras-I Bramble is not at his best when he's coming to you because he tends to lunge and get off balance, and that's when I think Paden needs to work the body.
And Ras-I Bramble has made his way into the ring to a Bob Marley song. He does practice the Rastafarian faith. He's very serious about it. Yeah. It's not any kind of a gimmick. Equal rights and justice, it says on the back of his warm-up jacket, and on the back of his handlers it says Pitbull Bramble.
And you know, you look at that, man, there's Bryant Paden, a gentleman who was also 28 years old, as is Bramble, and the 10-round draw outlined there against Rodney Moore. Livingstone Bramble, or Ras-I Bramble, if you will, is a man who I think feels a bit misunderstood. And I asked him today, I said, do you think most boxing fans understand what you're all about? And he said, no, they think of me as the guy that taunted Mancini, and said a lot of that was because I was trying to sell tickets. That isn't my real personality.
Yeah, the fact is, and I've had long conversations with him too. I did one of the Mancini fights, as did you, and I found him very frankly to be a delightful guy. Like most fighters, really not a violent guy. He has his beliefs, and so be it. Those are his beliefs. But he's really a good guy and rather a gentle soul, to tell you the truth. Family man, been married for a while, couple of kids. Let's meet these two now. We'll go to Michael Buffer.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Merv Griffin's Resorts International Casino Hotel in Atlantic City, New Jersey, let's get ready to rumble. 10 rounds in the lightweight division. The referee for this bout is Tony Perez. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner. He's wearing the gold trunks and weighs 136 3/4 pounds. He's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As a professional, 12 victories against only 3 defeats and 2 draws, 3 KOs to his credit. Let's hear it for Bryant Honeyboy Paden. And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the ice green trunks with red, gold, and black trim. He weighs 137 3/4 pounds, from St. Croix, Virgin Islands. As a professional, 26 3-2, 17 KOs. He's the former lightweight champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Ras-I Rastaman Bramble.
Carlos, I understand you already been given the instructions. I'm here to enforce those rules, all right? Give me a good, clean fight, and I will not bother neither one of you. Protect yourself at all times, all right? Shake hands. Good luck to both of you.
And there is a look at Ras-I Bramble. And Ras-I Bramble, as he said today, in a no-lose situation. He just simply has to go out, win every fight. He cannot afford another loss. So it's a no-nonsense Bramble that we feel we will probably see tonight against Bryant Paden. And Bramble has come into the ring incidentally very cool. He's not appeared to have warmed up very much at all. But those trunks will keep you awake, won't they?
He's always been colorful in the ring. He has that hat with the multicolors on it.
It's interesting that he does carry the Jamaican motif, and he's from the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, that is a good point. He already complained to the referee about the banging of heads. Be conscious of the fact that he did lose his last fight on cuts, on a cut.
Yeah, it was a cut that started in the third round and just kind of got progressively worse until round number 10 when the referee stopped the fight.
You know, it's interesting how certain things dictate what happens. Ray Mancini spent 2 full fights going to Livingstone Bramble. He landed lots of punches. He did lots of good things, but Bramble counterpunched him very well. See, when Livingstone Bramble goes to his opponent, he is less effective. You see him when he goes to Paden. He misses a lot more, and he gets off balance, and that's when a good fighter needs to counterpunch him.
Your head.
Bramble had 2 very impressive fights with Mancini, and a moment ago he complained to the referee Tony Perez again.
He's conscious. I tell you, Livingstone Bramble, or Ras-I Bramble, is conscious of the possibility of getting cut in a head, butt, or anything doing it, which is understandable since he lost that last fight that way. Now, he promised the jab, Bramble did. See if he throws it.
Threw it pretty good right there. Crowd into this fight a little bit more. Through the first couple of fights tonight, the crowd has been sitting on its collective hands.
Hasn't been much to cheer about.
Body shot by Bramble. Missed the walled right hand. 15 seconds left, round 1. Coming down toward the end of the first round, and again, largely a feeling out process in this first round. We'll be back after this. Round number 2 in Ras-I Bramble's corner between rounds. They talked about the fact you have to double up and triple up on that jab. They worked on it in camp. That's what they expect Bramble to do tonight. And they added that Bryant Paden is right there for the jabs. Let's take a look at our punch profile through the first round. As you can see, Bramble and Paden equally active, but Bramble more effective.
And Paden only landed 1 body shot. That was right at the end of the round.
Bramble a good body shot just a moment ago. Bramble being effective with his punching.
Oh, Bramble is a very good body puncher. Now, as of yet, we haven't seen Bramble switch to the lefty style. You can expect to see it, though. In my opinion, it's what changed the Mancini fight. Had Bramble continued to fight that entire fight as a righty, in my opinion, Ray Mancini would have still been champion at the end of the evening. It was that tactical move that won him the bout.
You know, we talked a little while ago about fighters who learn a little bit about themselves when they first lose a fight. And Ras-I, then Livingstone Bramble, I really thought, when I saw him fight Mancini, I thought, here's a guy who could be champion for a long time and might not lose a fight. Then he lost, and he really has had trouble gathering himself since that time.
Well, it was difficult. You know, he looked invincible. He beat Mancini the second time, though it was a closer fight. Then he beat Tyrone Crawley, who at the time, I really thought Tyrone Crawley had a good chance to beat him because of his style. Bramble fought wonderfully and then ran into Rosario. And since then, you're right, it's been a tough struggle for him to get back. Maybe part of it was mental, that aura of invincibility that even he probably started to believe went away. And he had the hand problems.
And again, they do come awfully close to headbutts on occasion here.
Both of you.
They're both instituting that, I think, by pushing their head in there first.
Paden having some success in this round with the jab.
You know, some people may say, well, gee, he lost to Freddie Pendleton. He had a draw with Freddie Pendleton. But Freddie Pendleton, who I guess was just beaten badly by John Montage, but despite his not very good record, I think Freddie Pendleton on any given day is as good as any lightweight in the world.
Yeah, I agree with you. And he's 10-3 against some tough opponents in his last 13 fights. We take you back into the corner of Ras-I Bramble. That round was a little bit more up-tempo in general.
Listen, Vaseline. Ross, listen. As long as you doubling and tripling up on that jab, getting off first.
His head, man.
But listen, if you jab, you won't get hit with his head. Okay? Don't you come charging in. Everything behind that jab. And get off first on this guy. Don't let this guy get his rhythm. Once you keep this guy at his rhythm, you got everything in control. All right? Don't worry about it. Knockout gonna come. I see it. Don't rush it. It's coming. Just work him. Weigh him down. All right? The main thing is moving behind that jab.
Here's a look at the jabs through 2 rounds.
Okay?
Ras-I Bramble has thrown 56 jabs, landing a 45% effectiveness. He'd probably like to be a little bit higher from an effectiveness point of view than that. Bryant Paden, on the other hand, in shots to the body, something we talked about, the keys to victory, he's only thrown 4. When he's thrown them, he's been effective with them.
Boy, here's Bramble with his head moving on the inside, so he's worried about the butting, but he's precipitating a lot of that.
Yeah, Bramble, you heard him complaining in his corner about headbutts, and he's obviously concerned about it. Right from the opening bell, he was talking to Tony Perez about it, and you have to wonder how much attention of Ras-I Bramble's does that take?
Well, he seems to be a bit preoccupied with it. But Craig Gibson gave him some wonderful advice. He said, look, if you're jabbing your way in, there's no danger of heads banging together. See?
His corner wants him to double up and triple up on the jabs. I haven't really seen him do that too much. He goes southpaw.
Now let's see. Let's see how Bramble does as a southpaw. It's usually worked for him in the past.
He only stayed in it for just a matter of seconds.
I think he'll stick with this for a little while. No, he doesn't. He turns back to righty. One of the reasons why I think he might do well to do that is there are not many left-handers that Bryant Paden has fought. Tunde Foster got a draw with him. Fine fighter from Madison Square Garden that we featured recently against John Duplessis in a very good match down in New Orleans. Tunde Foster losing to John Duplessis that fought, I thought, his best fight ever as a pro.
Paden actually getting in some reasonably good combinations in this round. Double uppercut in the right hand behind that by Bramble. Most of those, though, being caught up in the gloves of Bryant Paden.
There's the jab by Bramble, and a good one.
But a solo one. His corner again wants him to go 2-3 times with it. Paden not jabbing badly.
It's tough to hit Bramble with jabs because he covers up so well.
Quick left hand by Paden. And Bramble gets off the ropes with the right hand of his own. We come come to the end of round number 3. Ras-I Bramble and Bryant Paden will be back.
Now. Still think that could be a key for him if he would commit for more than 30 seconds to that.
Yeah, he just did it for very brief moments a couple of times in that last round. Neither fighter has really gotten untracked so far.
You know, driving during the Mike is breaking up terribly.
Body shot by Bramble. Let's take a look at your card, Al, after the first 3.
And you take a look and you see that I've got Ras-I Bramble winning all 3 of the rounds. Now, they're pretty close in some instances, but I still have him taking those rounds. I was mentioning that throughout the fight, in the last fight, Don Johnson kept reminding me facially of someone I couldn't figure out. Then I looked to my right, and there's Howard Davis, the 1976 Olympic champion. That's who he reminds me of in facial features. A lot of Olympic champions here tonight, the ones we showed, of course, and then Howard Davis.
This 4th round being fought a little bit at closer quarters than the first 3.
Bryant Paden realizing he has got to get busy here.
Yeah, it isn't that Paden hasn't been active. He just has not quite been doing enough.
It's hard to land against Bramble because he covers up so well. There and ended with a good uppercut by Bramble, but he's not sharp right now.
No, he missed almost all those.
That's what happens when you make Bramble come to you. He tends to lunge a little bit, and you have to counterpunch well, though. Bryant Paden is not counterpunching well.
Bramble got a good short left hand in just a moment ago. 2 body shots by Paden there.
The leverage and the good, short, concise punching by Bramble is not there. He's landing some, but it's not what it used to be.
So we head for the end of the 4th round, and it's pretty much more of same. It looks as though Bramble is winning every round closely. We'll be back.
He could get more leverage into those shots, that's for sure.
Got a right hand in to start round number 5. Bramble winning every round closely, at least to these observers.
And you know, we've talked about how Bryant Paden could do well with some body work. Well, he has only thrown 4 body shots per round, according to Old Spike's punch profile people, Logan Hobson and Bob Canopia, who are always on top of the action.
Always.
Or next to the action, someplace near the action.
Paden trying to stay busy, but it's really more Bramble who's not letting him. There was a right hand by Bramble that did get in. And another, and he got an uppercut in, 3-punch combination.
And the body work there as effective for Bramble as anything else. See, the Ras-I Bramble certainly much more of a knockout puncher than Paden.
And Paden with only 3 knockouts in his 12 victories. That was a body shot by Paden. I have to say this about Bramble. He looks absolutely fit.
I think both these men come in good condition. They know the importance of this bout. Well, it would be an interesting kind of irony if Ras-I Bramble would get to the point where he could fight, for instance, Pernell Whitaker for the lightweight championship, since Whitaker handled by Lou Duva and the people that Bramble was formerly with. Might be a bit of a rivalry there.
That'd be an interesting fight, I think.
Could well be. We are playing matchmaker on
That's
the
right.
air.
How do you like that, huh? Bramble starting to open Paden up a little bit in this round.
The difference between Bramble now and, let's say, 4 years ago is more of those shots get through his defense than did before. And he was facing in Ray Mancini and Tyrone Crawley in the heyday of him as a lightweight, guys that threw lots of punches, and whatever they want to say about Ray Mancini, he was a pretty accurate puncher.
Got a good right hand in on Paden there. Now he tries to follow up.
Good round for Bramble.
Very good round for Ras-I Bramble. And we'll take you back to Bryant Paden's corner. Probably the best round of the fight, I think, Al, for Bramble.
Give me one blind shot in there, that's all.
But you're not going underneath. You're not doing what I want you to do. You're not doing what I'm telling you to do, right? Okay? You're not firing any punches back at the guy. You're making me miss and you're not coming back with anything.
Okay.
The guy's there for you. He's right there for you. He's made the order for you. But you're not punching.
Okay.
I want the shots underneath and I want them back over top. All right? You're firing one shot and then you're covering up. I don't want that. I want the right hand. I want the hook behind the right hand.
Okay.
All right? And maybe two hooks. You can go underneath and come back over top with it.
Well, the question of heads banging together has been one that has really concerned Bramble, and they both bang against each other. Luckily, no one was cut there. Wes Muzan, the voice you're hearing in the corner of Bryant Paden.
He wants Paden to punch more than one time. He said he's there for you to hit. You're hitting him one time, and then you're covering up. So we'll see if Bryant Paden can heed the advice of his corner. It's the 6th round. Let's take a look at our punch profile through the 5th round, in the 5th round, I should say. Again, a case of Bramble just being a more effective puncher.
Landing more often and with more authority.
That was probably Bramble's best round, as we said, though.
They want Bryant Paden. We heard Wes Muzan, who, of course, is a very fine boxing trainer who's been around for a long time and had some great fighters. They want Bryant Paden to go underneath. He's not doing it.
Bramble being pretty effective here.
And they want him to fire punches back when he makes Bramble miss.
Let's take a look at your card, Al, and again, shutout time.
They're getting ready to do this in the Grapefruit and Cactus League. Fire some shutouts, and that's what Bramble is doing.
Bramble now is fighting like a fighter who realizes he's in there with a guy who he doesn't feel can hurt him, and he can do pretty much what he wants with him.
And when Bramble comes with that jab to open things up, he's impressive.
These are lightweights. Ras-I Bramble and Bryant Paden. We're going 10 rounds. This is round 6, halfway through. Bramble coming off probably his best round of the fight in round 5, and he picked the pace up right where he left off in round 6. So 2 good rounds back-to-back for Ras-I Bramble. Bramble, of course, trying to get right back into the thick of the lightweight championship picture.
Well, this is interesting. He turns lefty now, but at a time when I thought he was very effective as a right-hander. See what this does for him.
When he has switched up, he hasn't stayed left-handed too long.
So really on the 2nd or 3rd time of the bout. And he's back to righty, so he keeps in that mode.
Left hand off the ropes by Paden. And Bramble right on top of him after that.
know, this version of Ras-I Bramble looks more like the version before the Mancini fight. I mean, you remember, no one gave him a chance against Mancini. I thought Mancini would knock him out in about 4 rounds. He was the kind of a boxer who lunged, missed a lot, got knockouts, but again, they hadn't fought a real good caliber fighter before Mancini. Even though he's winning, some of the moves he makes now resembles more the fighter before Mancini.
We head for the end of round number 6, and it was another pretty good round for Bramble. We'll be back to Atlantic City right after this.
Unjustifiably, that's a good conference in basketball.
Missouri, of course, number 3 in the country. Were number 3. I think they dropped to 5 now. And Oklahoma with 2 outstanding players, Mookie Blaylock and Stacey King.
Ask UNLV about Stacey King. Scored about 800 points one game against them.
48, I think.
Yeah, that was close.
Meanwhile, here in Atlantic City, Ras-I Bramble.
This is boxing, isn't it? Yeah.
Short pants, hard to tell.
Well, it's true basketball. They wear short pants too.
Right.
But no one has trunks like Ras-I Bramble.
No, I kind of like those, actually.
The Charlotte Hornets have a designer trunks.
Right.
So maybe Alexander Julian put those together.
Julian Jackson put these together, I think.
Paden's still throwing lots of punches, but a lot are being blocked. And what's getting in isn't really backing Bramble up at all. Well, Bramble told us today, I need to win and win impressively. Well, he's won most rounds in this bout, maybe all of them. But is he doing enough to Bryant Paden to tell the world, yeah, I should get a title shot in a couple of fights?
Yeah, I don't know. School's still out, I think. I want to remind you that tonight at 11:30 on SportsCenter, Bob Lee and Bill Patrick will have an opportunity to talk with Mike Tyson 3 days before actually his fight with Frank Bruno out in Las Vegas. I'll tell you, the last time you and I saw Mike Tyson, he looked in awfully good shape.
Yeah, one of our bouts in Las Vegas. He's been working pretty hard by all accounts. Just those punches slapping by Bramble, but the overhand right got in.
Right hand by Paden, and another right hand by Paden. He now goes downstairs with the left hand.
Bryant Paden jabbing, throwing right hands. At one time, Bramble was the master of counter-punching, getting hit with shots on the gloves and then going after his opponent.
Bramble hurt Paden that time. And now Bramble will go after him. Still 20 seconds left. He had him hurt for just a moment.
Well, if anyone in this bout has been stunned, it's been Bryant Paden a couple of times.
Well, Paden's going to get through this one. So the 7th round comes to an end, and a little bit closer for Paden.
Ras-I Bramble putting together some nice combinations toward the end of the last round. We head into round 8.
But does he look a little off balance even when he scores with those punches?
He's always been off balance. He's off balance when he comes forward. When a fighter fights him and goes to him and he gets the counter, he's not off balance. But for his whole career, when he's coming forward, he's ended up being off balance. That's why I think the key is to make him come to you and then hit him. That's probably why, good shot by Bramble. It's probably why a Pernell Whitaker would really pose a problem for him. But ironically, let's say a Julio Cesar Chavez is maybe a better fight even for him because he might be able to rumble with Chavez.
Yeah, he's done well with people who come right at him, like Mancini.
Yes.
Let's take a look at your card, Al.
I have Bramble ahead by 5 points. He's got quite a margin, and I really think has won virtually every round. I want you to know you have a fan, a big fan among the Western crowd. Ben Johnson, who had his celebrity roping this week down in Phoenix, wanted me personally to tell you that he's a big fan of yours. He watches the fights and he really enjoys your role in this, Barry.
I appreciate that. I know you told me you were down in Phoenix, but you didn't do any roping down.
Didn't rope this time. I'm waiting until next year, but it's great. They raised over $50,000 for the head injury center in Phoenix. It was a nice event. A lot of boxing fans among the Western crowd. I mean, very big boxing fans.
Those are some tough athletes.
Oh, yeah, you betcha. Now, in this round, everybody picking up the pace. Paden and Bramble. Paden doing it because he desperately needs to, and Bramble responding.
Bramble caught him with a right hand just a moment ago. Paden comes up underneath with a couple.
Well, Bryant Paden fighting much better in the last round. And in this round, look at him. He says, hey, this is it. This is my opportunity.
And he brings the crowd alive, too. Paden, probably the crowd favorite here. He's reasonably local from the Philadelphia area.
Right hand. I don't think that hurt Paden as much as knocked him off balance. Well, Bryant Paden is really hampered, Barry, by the fact he's just not that big a puncher. And so here he lands these super-duper combinations and probably will win him this round, but what he needs maybe now is a knockout, not to win rounds.
That's the second time tonight we've seen that. Don Johnson, the same thing can be said. Bryant Paden probably a more proficient boxer than Johnson, but he's just not a guy who is going to get you out of there. And if he gets behind 2 or 3 rounds, he's got a problem.
Big smile on Bramble's face at the end of that round, even though it was not his best of the fight.
Remember the keys to victory.
Well, for Bramble, ironically, he's winning without doing either of those things. He really hasn't established a jab that much, and the lefty hasn't been a big factor for him, but he's winning nevertheless. Paden has made Bramble come to him, but has not capitalized with counter punches, and the body, maybe he's thrown 20 or 30 body punches in this whole fight.
The problem is those are the keys to victory for the Connecticut-Boston College game.
Yes, still they mixed them up. Otherwise, it would have worked out perfectly. I had those loaded for that game.
Eyes on him.
Well, there you go. Only 53 thrown and 22 landed for Paden in the body shot department, and he needed more than that. Well, Bramble hasn't done that poorly in the jabbing department. At least his accuracy has been there, but I think they would have liked a lot more from him in terms of jabs.
So this is the 9th round. Scheduled for 10.
And now, since everybody knows my arithmetic is awful, through the years it's become known, but I want to tell everybody, I just did some quick division, and that jabbing figure means that in 8 rounds, 27 jabs per round by Ras-I Bramble. That's not a lot.
9 jabs a minute.
Yeah, that's very good.
Not bad, huh?
I am so impressed. I'm going to tell you, who needs these punch profile guys here with their computers? I didn't even have to take off my shoes either, like you said.
They're going on a bowling tour, the punch profile guys.
We'll get into that next week.
Meanwhile, Bramble continues to pretty much have it his way with Paden.
Well, after that really good flurry in the last round, which I think got Paden the round, Ras-I Bramble says, I better come out and reestablish something here. Because while we have him ahead by a good margin, you never know.
Caught Paden in that time with the left hand. There's the jab. Triple jab that time. And look, he took a left hand.
Yeah, but even when he paused with the jab, it opens up other things for him.
There was a right hand by Bramble. From about the 6th round on, Ras-I Bramble has just fought like a man who is fighting someone who he just doesn't think can hurt him.
Yeah, he's not, the punching power of Paden does not impress him, and so he's just doing enough to get by. But he made the point to us, and it's true, he can't do just enough to get by. ranked 9th by the IBF, but he's got to look impressive to try and get somebody to give him a title shot.
Then you have to ask yourself, too, if he does do better against a fighter who fights like a Mancini or a Chavez, you made another point earlier in the fight that he's getting hit more than he did in the past, too. So now you get in against a guy like that, and you really do run the risk of getting hit by a guy who can punch.
Well, that's right. And, you know, you look back even to the Mancini fights. Ray Mancini, over the first 8 rounds against then Livingstone Bramble, he was hell on wheels. He landed a lot of punches, and in my opinion, was a little bit ahead in that fight. So, as you say, if you get a guy like that, the way he's getting hit now, things could be problems for him.
Nearing the end of round number 9, and it appears to be another pretty good round for Livingstone Bramble, and it'll take nothing short of a miracle for Bryant Paden in the 10th.
You don't know what this means. Do it now.
You're in the corner of Bryant Paden.
Don't give me one punch. I don't want one punch. I want 2, 3, 4. All right? And I want your jab very snappy with the jab because his hands are here. Okay. And I want you going on. I want the uppercut here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 10th and final round of the round of applause. Final round.
10th and final round. I don't know if it's the fact that Paden might be getting a little bit tired or Bramble is just starting to get sharper, but in that 9th round, he threw 93 punches. He connected on 63. That's 68%, and that's not too shabby.
Very good round for Bramble, and he threw a lot more combinations in the last round.
He opens up right where he left off. Well, from the 6th round on, it's really been a clinic for Bramble here. And now I guess you have to start thinking, how good is Bryant Paden? What's next for him? When you start to evaluate, was this not only a victory, but as he said, an impressive victory?
In the scorecards, it should be an impressive one in terms of numbers. I've got him ahead 88-83.
That's impressive.
But there are other yardsticks by which you measure a boxer also. You know, we've been talking a lot about Ray Mancini. Of course, he's coming back against Hector Macho Camacho on March 6th. And who knows what the winner of that bout will do.
That's really true. Now, that's a fight that is really hard to figure. A good shot by Paden, and Bramble is shook. Bramble's still shook.
He may well have been. He took a big shot there. Talk about Bryant Paden not having much punching power, but he got something behind that.
Now, you saw something just like this last week,
where Wally Muhammad was way ahead.
1 minute and 15 seconds for Bryant Paden just to let it go. Left hand by Bramble backs Paden off.
And in that fight, Wally Muhammad got nailed. The fight was stopped. And he ended up losing, of course, when he might have won a decision.
Try to remember, what was that I did that shook him?
He's letting it go, and he's landing hooks. And you know what the difference is? Bryant Paden is really doubling up on the jab and jabbing his way in.
It's still not over for Bryant Paden. Paden looks like he still has a little something left.
Bramble moves to lefty, and it works for him because he lands a good right hook there.
Coming down toward 15 seconds remaining. Probably the best round of the fight, actually.
It's been toe-to-toe.
Another right hand by Paden. But I think it's going to be a case of too little, too late. And while it was a good 10th round for Bryant Paden, he probably is going to pay the price with another L. It's over, and Ras-I Bramble is the first to the corner of Bryant Paden to hug him. And he is carried aloft, the apparent victor, to the boos of the very pro-Paden crowd here.
Yeah, he's lives a lot closer, and I think a lot of people rooting for an upset. Well, Well, for Ras-I Bramble, unless there's a big shocking discrepancy in what we've scored and what the judges ended up doing, he'll come away with this with a win, and may put him a step closer to a title shot.
Here is Al Bernstein's scorecard.
That's what I see. I think Bramble clearly won the fight. And was he impressive enough for people to say, geez, you get a title shot right away? Maybe not, but bottom line is he won, and he won in a convincing fashion. And he knows himself he's going to have to go fight a contender anyway.
So it'll get a little bit tougher from here, I think, for Ras-I Bramble, and I don't think we're really going to know where exactly he is insofar as attaining championship status until probably his next fight.
Now, Bryant Paden did have some very good moments in that last round. That was the right hand and left hook that may or may not have stunned Bramble a little bit. In any case, Bryant Paden landed some big shots.
Let's get up to Michael Buffer. We'll get the official announcement. Michael?
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the official scoring. Richard F. Murray and Phil Newman both scored the bout 97-93. Marlo Savage has it 97-94 for the winner by unanimous decision, Ras-I Bramble.
So Ras-I Bramble has scored a unanimous decision, and his wife and family enter the ring. We'll be back to talk with Ras-I Bramble when we come back right after this.
Ras-I Bramble with his daughter Rashawn, and she looks fairly happy. She's smiling up. She might not understand the ramifications of this decision. For you, though, it's important. You got the win. Did you get it the way you wanted it?
Not quite, but I could understand because Bryant Paden is a very awkward fighter, and you can see he has a lot of head in the front, and I was being very careful because I was butt the last time. I was butt several times in this fight. First of all, I want to thank Rashid and Terrence Ali for helping me out. I want to thank my family and all my fans for putting me together after the 2 years of the tribulation I went through.
Okay, you were able to land the right hand pretty good in this fight, Rossi, and let's take a look at it right here. You got him with the right hand. You countered him well.
But the right hand wasn't the right hand that I've been working with. The thumbless glove, it takes a lot of power out of me, and I really didn't have the leverage on the punch. My next fight, I hope that I could get better gloves, and you will see a lot better. But the main thing is I'm here spiritually, and the creator, which is Jah, he got me going, and you're going to see a lot of me because I'll be very active. I want to be in the ring again next month.
How long will it take you, do you think, to get back and get a title shot? I
think after the next fight, depends on the opponent I fought, I think I'll be right in line to fight Pernell Whitaker. He's very fast, but I think my strength and power would overwhelm his speed. But I'm ready for a title shot, I guess, after the next fight. My arm, my left hand that I had surgery on, the muscles haven't built up quite yet, but I wasn't going to lay around and wait for it to build up. But that's going to happen in the future. I'll be ready.
You didn't use the jab quite as much as you wanted to.
Well, in a sense, I started using it later with a doubling up. But Bryant Paden, don't take nothing from him. He's a very difficult guy to fight. I'm telling you, lightweights, watch out. Paden is tough.
All right, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Ras-I Bramble with a win that, well, he hopes will get him at least a step closer to a world title match. And, hey, he's looking for Pernell Whitaker. We'll be back to wrap things up.